She parked in his driveway like she owned it, twice. She ignored his warnings, laughed in his face, and claimed the HOA gave her the right. But when her car disappeared not once, but twice, she realized she messed with the wrong neighbor, and what he did next. The entire neighborhood clapped. Darnell Thompson had just moved into his dream home, a cozy, well-kept house in a quiet, upscale suburb of Georgia. After serving 25 years in the Navy, he was ready to enjoy a slower pace of life. His plans were simple: quiet mornings, weekend barbecues, tending to his rose garden, and watching the sunset from his porch swing. But his peaceful retirement took a turn within days. Just 3 days after moving in, Darnell spotted a sleek silver Lexus sitting smack in the middle of his private driveway. There were no guests over, and he didn't recognize the car from the neighborhood. At first, he gave the benefit of the doubt. Maybe someone parked there by mistake. So, he waited. An hour passed, no knock on the door, no sign of the driver. So, he left a polite handwritten note tucked under the windshield wiper. "Hi, this is a private driveway. Please don't park here. Thanks." He thought that would be the end of it. But the next morning, there it was again. Same car. Same spot. No note, no apology. And this wasn't a one-time thing. By the end of the week, it had happened 3 times. Darnell realized this wasn't a mistake, it was a pattern. And it was about to become a problem. It wasn't long before Darnell finally caught the mystery driver in the act. One sunny afternoon, as he stepped out to grab a package, he saw the silver Lexus pull into his driveway like it belonged there. The driver's door swung open, and out stepped a woman who looked like she walked straight out of a suburban reality show. Blonde bob, oversized sunglasses, yoga pants, and an air of entitlement. Darnell approached her calmly. "Ma'am, this is a private driveway." She barely paused, glancing at him over her sunglasses. "Oh, relax, I'm just grabbing my mail. I'm the HOA president. I can park where I want." Darnell blinked. "Even in someone else's driveway?" That's when her smile faded and her tone sharpened. "You people are always so aggressive. I've lived here 15 years. You just moved in. You should learn how things work around here." Darnell felt the sting of her words, but he refused to let her get under his skin. He stood firm, looked her straight in the eye, and said with quiet confidence, "Next time, I tow it." Simple. She let out an exaggerated sigh, rolled her eyes, and strutted off. But what she didn't realize, Darnell meant every word. It didn't take long for things to escalate. That Saturday, Darnell was expecting company. His old Navy buddies were coming over for a backyard cookout. He had cleaned the grill, prepped the ribs, and was in a good mood. But as he pulled open the blinds that morning, his stomach sank. There it was again. The silver Lexus, parked dead center in his driveway, blocking it entirely. But this time, Darnell didn't sigh or shake his head. He didn't leave another note. He didn't knock on her door. He picked up the phone, calmly, and called the tow company he had already spoken with earlier that week. Everything had been pre-arranged. The dispatcher recognized his address immediately. Within 30 minutes, a flatbed truck rolled up, hooked the Lexus, and hauled it away like it was never there. Later that evening, the fireworks started. Karen came, storming across the street, absolutely livid, her voice echoing down the block. "Where is my car?" Darnell simply pointed to the newly installed sign near his garage. "Private driveway. Unauthorized vehicles will be towed at owner's expense." The police arrived, reviewed everything, and sided fully with Darnell. Karen had to pay $350 to reclaim her car. But somehow, she still hadn't learned her lesson. Just 1 week after the first tow, Darnell was preparing for something special. His granddaughter's birthday. He had balloons tied to the porch, a homemade cake in the kitchen, and his daughter was on her way with presents. It was supposed to be a peaceful day filled with laughter and love. But when he stepped outside to start the grill, he froze. There, it was again, the silver Lexus, parked in his driveway like it had every right to be there. This wasn't carelessness anymore. It was disrespect. Deliberate. Darnell's daughter pulled up moments later, her car forced to stop in the middle of the street. She stepped out, confused and frustrated. "Seriously, Dad? That same woman again?" Darnell didn't waste time. He picked up his phone and called the tow company again. No words, just the address. By the time the party began, the Lexus was gone. No yelling. No warning, just consequences. That evening, Karen came over, not angry this time, but visibly shaken. "Please, I didn't think you'd actually tow me again. My husband is furious. It cost us another $350. Can we just stop this?" Darnell looked her in the eyes and said clearly, then stop parking in my driveway. Just a few days after the second tow, Darnell heard a knock at his door. Standing there were two neatly dressed individuals, real members of the neighborhood's HOA board. They had heard about the incidents involving the silver Lexus, and more importantly, they had come with news. "Mr. Thompson," one of them began, "we want to apologize. Karen is not the HOA president, never has been." Darnell's eyes widened slightly. As it turned out, Karen had been lying for years. She had printed fake notices, bullied new residents, and acted like the self-appointed queen of the block. "You're not the only one she's targeted," the board member added. "After your formal complaint, we had two more come forward." The board took swift action. Karen was officially barred from ever holding any position within the HOA, and she received a formal warning for impersonating an officer of the association. Word spread fast. Within days, the entire neighborhood knew what had happened. Suddenly, neighbors who had once kept their distance began waving, stopping to chat, and even thanking Darnell. Karen? She avoided his property like it was lava. Darnell never yelled, never cursed. He simply stood up, for his space, his peace, and the principle. And just like that, karma parked itself right in Karen's lane. Darnell didn't need to raise his voice or start a fight. He simply stood his ground, and the truth did the rest. If you enjoyed this story of justice served with quiet confidence, do us a favor. Hit that like button to show some love for Darnell's patience. Comment below. What would you have done in his shoes? Share this video with someone who needs a little neighborly inspiration. And don't forget to subscribe for more real, powerful stories that prove sometimes the good guys do win. Thanks for watching. And until next time, stay kind, stay strong, and stay parked in your own driveway.